Hello students, welcome to Romeo and Juliet, Act 1, Scene 5. Buckle up, there's a lot going on in this one. There are so many parts in this scene. Um, we have, starting off with the disturbance, we have nostalgia. Let me fix that. We have nostalgia between some of the older people. We have Romeo looking for love. We have Tybalt trying to interfere with things. We have Romeo and Juliet meeting, and then we have them departing. And it's interesting how the mood changes throughout this whole scene. We start with a very comical mood, and then we get very serious, and holy cow, they're in love. And then when they depart, we've got gloom and doom going on. Um, Shakespeare is a master of taking a scene and changing the emotions in everything. All right, let's look at the servants starting off. In the opening, this scene is very lighthearted. It serves as a good contrast for later on when Tybalt is threatening death. The servants are always working. Shakespeare makes a point to have you notice servants. They are the backbone of Elizabethan society, if you will. And in a way, we see that today, not with servants, but with people who are providing groceries, making meals, washing dishes, nurses in ERs. You know, these people are now on the forefront. They're like holding up our society. The scene is kind of comical. And then we translate or we transfer from this into Capulet talking with his older cousin. So we have Juliet's father talking with his cousin about how long it's been since they've crashed a masquerade party. This is a masquerade party. People are wearing masks. No one knows who anyone else is. Okay, so identities are hidden. That's a big part of Romeo and Juliet. Fix that. Now, they're talking about when they were younger, how they used to crash parties and stuff. And lo and behold, who comes in? But Romeo, Benvolio, Mercutio, and all the others crashing this party. They're just going to barge right in, and Capulet's right there. He sees them, and he welcomes them in. He is very polite. He's very agreeable. He's very understanding what it's like to be young. And he lets them come in. Capulet invites Romeo in. Now, a lot of times when this play is done, Capulet is actually shown to be addressing Romeo when he says, "Gentlemen, come in, you are most welcome." It doesn't say that, but generally it's acknowledged that Romeo is right there when Capulet welcomes him in, before Capulet recognizes who he is. And then we have Romeo just wandering around. He's looking for Rosalind. Remember, that's his goal. He wants to go see and meet and talk to Rosalind again. And then he sees somebody, and we don't know who it is. He sees someone, and we have this beautiful light imagery. She doth teach the torches to burn bright, right? She is like a rich jewel in an Ethiop's ear, right? Jewels are sparkling and gleaming. And he asks the servant, "Who is that?" Now we know the servants are busy at this party. So when Romeo asks the servant, "Who is that beautiful woman?" the servant probably didn't even turn around to look. He's like, "I don't know," and just went about his business. What's interesting is it happened just like Benvolio said. If you look at the previous scenes, Benvolio was trying to tell Romeo to forget about Rosalind, right? Judge her by some other beauty, right? I think Benvolio said something, "I will show that your swan is a crow." Well, here, when Romeo sees this other beauty, he says it's a dove amongst a room full of crows, just like Benvolio said. And Romeo makes a plan. Okay, he's kind of talking out loud, talking to himself. He's going to go up, watch where she stands after this dance, right? She's probably dancing with Paris, right? So he's going to watch to see where she stands. And then he's going to go up and touch her hand. How many of you have made a plan like that, right? At homecoming dance, did you see someone across the way, and did you think, I'm going to go up and touch that person's hand? That was Romeo's plan. We'll see how he handles that in just a second. While Romeo's talking to himself, after he had just seen this beautiful woman, now the audiences still don't know who this beautiful woman is. Tybalt's right there, and he overheard Romeo and recognized Romeo by his voice. Tybalt, we know, likes to fight. He is ready to kill, right? He grabs the servant and is like, get me my sword, right? He's going to start stabbing people. And Capulet is upset by this. He's like, where are you going in such a row? And Capulet tells him to back down. You're not going to cause a disturbance in my household. When you read that scene, realize that Capulet is yelling at Tybalt, and people are turning to watch them, and he's trying to calm them down. It's like, oh, no, more lights, keep dancing, yelling at Tybalt, go about your business. So that'll help you to understand that a little bit easier. So they argue, and Capulet basically tells him to stop the arguing. And Tybalt's like, no, that's Romeo. I've got to go settle this. I've got to go kill him. And Capulet looks, and he sees him and says, oh, young Romeo is it? This is a good kid. Capulet is okay with Romeo being at his party. Verona brags of him as being a well-mannered youth. This is a good kid. He doesn't cause trouble. And remember, the prince told Capulet and Montague, no more fighting. And Capulet's okay with Romeo here. He's done with fighting. But Tybalt leaves, and he promises to avenge this insult of coming to crash his party. Right? This intrusion, now seeming sweet, will convert to bitterest gall. Right? You're getting away with it now, but I'm going to get you. So we have this threat of doom as Tybalt leaves. And while Capulet and Tybalt are arguing, Romeo and Juliet have met. We don't see it. It's just they're done arguing, and now here are Romeo and Juliet. And when they meet, wow, is it a meeting. Holy cow. When they talk, and when I'm done talking here, I want you to go back and reread those first 14 lines, because when they talk, it is a perfect sonnet. One person speaks one quatrain, the other person speaks the next quatrain. The third quatrain is split between both of them, and then we have the split between the couplet. They are a couple now. In a literary sense, when they talk, they fit perfectly together. Okay? And when they're talking, they're using this really cute pilgrimage analogy. They're like saints or pilgrims going on this holy journey. And usually when a saint or pilgrim goes on this holy journey, they're looking from insight from God, right? They want to encounter God somehow. Well, what do? They encounter each other. Their love is heavenly. Okay? Their love is in the stars in heaven. This whole play is the stars looking down on their love, and here we see it because they speak in a perfect sonnet. It's a witty back and forth debate, this initial thing. He goes up and grabs her hand, and Juliet's like, wow, you're touching me. And Romeo's wanting to go farther than just touching hands. He's like, well, let's let our lips do what our hands are doing. And holy cow, he kisses her. And she doesn't yell at him. She doesn't run away. She likes this, right? And she teases him. It's like, wow, the sin you just talked about is now on my lips. Take it back. So he kisses her again and takes it back. Here's a question for you. How long should you know someone before you kiss someone? These people have spoke less than 30 lines together, and they're already making out. So here they are on the dance floor making out, and who sees them? But the nurse sees them. And she runs up and says, Juliet, your mom wants to talk to you. Yanks Juliet away, because the nurse is Juliet's protector. And so Juliet runs off to go find mom. And Romeo asks the nurse, who is her? Who is she? Who is this beautiful woman? And the nurse tells him, this is Juliet, right? Whoever lays hand on her can have the chinks. She is the heir to the Capulet fortune. Okay? That is the Capulet's daughter. Romeo finds out. They get ready to go. Capulet asks people to stay, and then he realizes it's late. A lot of people are starting to leave, and they leave. As people are leaving, Juliet wants to know who Romeo is and asks the nurse. But she does it indirectly. She doesn't want the nurse to know how she really feels. You know, who's that guy? Oh, that's Petruchio. Who's that guy? Oh, it's some other dude. Who's that guy? And the nurse is like, I don't know. Go find out. The nurse comes back. That's Romeo. Okay. And they each have this reaction when they find out who the other person is. Romeo's like, my life is in my foe's debt. His life belongs to his enemy, Capulet, right? He's already smitten with Juliet, and he's okay with that. Juliet is head over and heels in love, right? One of her last things she says is, I must love a loathed enemy, right? Romeo's an enemy. He's a Montague, but yet she loves him. So we depart on this interesting idea that they're both in love, they're both enemies. They haven't overcome that yet. So that's an interesting conflict, right? I'm in love, but you're my enemy. We'll overcome that soon. We've got a lot of themes in this scene. Okay? The theme of love at first sight. When we get in the classroom, I will ask you, is love at first sight real? Does it exist? Because it's really interesting to see who believes and who doesn't believe this. Here, Romeo and Juliet, basically, it's love at first sight. They step up, they start talking, they start kissing, and they both acknowledge that they are in love with the other person. They have not acknowledged it. They have not acknowledged it to each other yet, but they have acknowledged it to themselves. And that's a big step. Another big theme is love is blind. This is a masquerade. They're wearing masks. They don't really see who the other person is. Okay, they fall in love through body language. They fall in love through the dialogue, what they're saying. Okay, Romeo has always been looking at someone and judging them by how beautiful they are. And he did judge Juliet by her beauty. He did say her beauty teaches the torches to burn bright. But he didn't know her identity. Which brings us to another theme. Prejudice is such a strong thing. When you remove that prejudice, it allows you to see clearly and make judgments in an unclouded fashion. If Romeo knew Juliet was a Capulet, if Juliet knew Romeo was a Montague, I don't think either one of them would have continued on their conversation with each other. They would not have approached each other to talk. You know, this prejudice we see today. You know, we automatically dismiss someone because, oh, that person's too old to talk to. Or that person's black. I'm not going to talk to that person. Or that person is Jewish. I'm not going to talk to that person. And it automatically cuts off everything else of all these possible opportunities we could have with that person. They're gone. Prejudice stops real life in its tracks. Okay, so Shakespeare kind of has that here. We get rid of that prejudice, we can see clearly. This is a crazy important scene, right? This is one of the most important scenes in the play. I want you to go over the scene today, Friday the 27th, and again on Monday. Take 2 days over the scene. Read it. Look at all the different parts, okay? Because there are many, many parts on this scene. Look at those. Understand what's going on. Understand how the mood changes in the scene. Understand how it's comical. Understand how it's infuriating. And understand how we have this little hint of doom as Romeo and Juliet are parting. Remember Romeo's thought at the end of the last scene, right? This thought was that what he's going to do today is going to bring about his death. He just fell in love. Things are going to get messed up. Have a great day.